Welcome everybody to the Culture Shock Podcast. It's your boy Pat Bayless. We're here for another episode. I'm here with Steeler Moo.
Yes, sir.
And I'm here with Taylor. What you doing?
I just want to
Taylor?
address the fact that I don't like that the last few episodes you've been introducing me last. Like, what's that about?
Steelers in first place. You better
Shut
be
the fuck
respectful.
up, you losing
I don't know
anyway.
how.
You not a Steeler.
First place.
You know what?
They have
I'm
about
Steeler
20
gang. What the
passing
fuck
yards
You know
on the
what?
whole
I don't give a
season.
fuck about none of
Get there in
that.
first place.
I am literally the star. Can we act like it? Thank you.
But off screen.
I ain't gonna
shit,
front. I
I'm
kind of like your boots.
I am the star.
Yeah, where you
nigga.
get them boots from?
You got the Halloween
I
Mary
don't know
J.
where I
Blige
got
shits.
them. Man, I'm about to step in these bitches.
That's Monet. That's
What is
Monet
that song?
from Power.
Family Affair? I get sturdy in this bitch. What?
Yeah,
Don't let me show
man.
out.
Nah,
I
them
don't know
shits
where I
hard.
got them, truthfully. I have no idea.
I was expecting the toe to come out or something over there, but no, this is fire. I like that.
That's funny.
Are they comfortable?
Nah, I wasn't even trying to make a
Yeah.
joke.
I got them like a
Jeez.
size too big, so like it's like a little annoying, but it's really not that bad.
Do you wear socks with shit like that, or they?
With these, I mean, me personally, yes. That's just
okay.
my
I was
preference.
gonna say, I was
That's-
shaking my head like,
I'm
please.
not, because the reason I said it like that is because I know, like, I've seen females like not.
Right.
Me personally, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's
Because they
weird
look
not
comfortable. I
to.
wasn't sure.
And I like your shirt. I will say that.
Thanks.
She
I
rich.
fucked it
She
up,
got
but-
money.
Who sent you that?
No. Who sent me this? It's a Miri. No one sent me this. They ain't sending me a
she bought
motherfucking
that
thing.
shit.
I'm gonna keep it 100. I have no idea
So
what
how'd you
that
fuck
is.
up though? Tell the world.
I put it in the dryer. I put it in the dryer and fucked it up.
Diamonds
Wait.
fell right off that shit.
Fucked it up. You're supposed to hand dry these types of things, baby. You
Wait,
supposed
how
to hand
much
dry.
is that? Like a Gucci thing?
Yeah,
Like something
I
like
think
that?
similar
Like
to
luxury?
that.
similar to that.
Yeah.
Miriam.
If I'm being honest, I didn't pay for it.
Wait, now I'm thinking
So-
about it. J. Cole got a song named that.
Mhm.
All right, that's how I know that shit.
Yeah, that brand is
No,
fire.
you right.
That brand is fire.
Shit,
So-
out of my budget.
Now that we got that out the
Okay.
way and we talked about Taylor's outfit, she ain't got no sponsors today to talk about, but it's
No.
okay.
Next episode,
We'll get on.
maybe.
Yeah, we'll get on that. We'll work on that. Today I want to talk about a serious topic. The world is kind of crazy. We live by feedback. A lot of us, whether it be me, Moo, or you, in some type of way have dealt with feedback. Today's episode is called Feedback Over Faith. Using feedback over faith. Best way to explain it in just a small term would be Taylor. She's in a lot of people's eyes a beautiful woman, right? So
In a lot of people's eyes, and oh fuck yeah.
Yeah. you know. So she steps out and she puts on a nice outfit like she has on right now. She goes to something like Instagram, posts it. She thinks she looks beautiful, and she doesn't get as many likes as the last photo that she posts, or nothing to her, to what she wants, and she removes it, and it makes her feel less than. Just an example. We're gonna get into more examples. But I'll start with you, Tay, because using you as an example. What part of life do you feel like you use feedback more over your faith and what you want to push forward with your own life?
My career path, I would say, like modeling and stuff like that. I feel like that really I love my work, and I feel like the more I've learned to just love to just post whatever I want to post, it's made it a lot more I guess a lot more fun for me to continue. But what I've realized, the further I dive into modeling and things of that sort, the more feedback I'm using than anything else, because like, you know, like the audience is really what pushes me. The audience is really what does it for me. And what gets my name out. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's carried over into my also my day-to-day life to a degree sometimes. Like in the sense of like certain relationships I have and things like that. Sometimes I'll think about, because my whole career is based on like social media. Sometimes I'll think about that, and now I'm factoring that into just to like a regular ass decision that I'm making. So I definitely think it's impacted. It's definitely impacted my life, and not necessarily for the better.
Your personal life?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm still working on learning how to separate work from personal. So, which it's not as hard as it seems, but in that regard, it can be, because I'm a female. So like I have emotions. So now, being that my whole career, what makes me money in my day-to-day like life, like what really like pays my bills type shit, using feedback over anything else, it starts to sometimes pour into my personal life. So now I'm thinking, oh, well, what would everybody think of me if whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like if this whoever I'm with or talking to at the time doesn't work out, and I just so happen to like post about having a nigga or some shit, now I might look stupid because, You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I tend to use feedback over faith in my personal life, and that shit. It definitely impacts it. It definitely impacts it negatively.
So is that big for you to, I guess, I guess to like not be embarrassed or things of that nature? And it could be personal, like Pat was saying about the likes or whatever, but
I would say to a degree, like in the regards of my image, like Taya,
right.
sometimes like certain things I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing, it's so bad for my fucking like for my brand, for my name, you know what I'm saying? Because again, it's my job, so I have to protect my name, I have to protect my image to a degree, you know what I'm saying? Whether I like it or not, that's
Right.
just the world we live in. In my personal life, I really don't like myself. I don't give a fuck about these things, but because of the career path I chose, it's almost like I kind of have to.
That's interesting. I never thought of. I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was automatically separate, especially when you get to a certain level where you got 20, 30,000 followers.
I wouldn't say it's automatically separate. I choose to separate it. Like, I personally make it a point to try to keep the two, like, who I am. Like Taylor at home. Like, I like to see myself almost as a social experiment because I'm literally exactly nothing like what you would expect when you see my Instagram, my social media, and things like that. I'm completely different, and I like it that way. It keeps me
That's a lot
grounded.
of
I try to,
females.
I try to
agree
keep them
with that.
separate. You know what I'm saying? I try my best.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
agree
hard.
with that because when Pat first showed me you, I was like, all right, where he going with this? And
Right, like she just a hoochie.
then when I met you, the personality, I was like, all right. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
type
That
shit. I
makes
get that
sense.
all the
Yeah.
time. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm not on cocky shit. It's just true. It's a fact.
Right.
I get it all the time. Because some people might see it as me being cocky. It's not.
Nah, I feel you.
And Moo, like for you, we go for an example where I feel like you could be in that realm of feedback over where your brain wants to go with certain things. You do training, right? So you
Right.
train where you might not be as much on social media as Taylor is.
Basketball training.
Basketball training is your thing. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy. Basketball training is your thing. So that's where everything comes from, whether it be income, whether it be, you know, just the love that you have
Right.
for it. You know what I'm saying? The people that you're around. So explain to the audience how much feedback may play into that when it comes to your mind and the way you want to do things, the way you want to train people, the answers you get from people after you train them. Maybe you using a certain method behind it instead of the other method you was using because you see this works more for kids of this age or grown adults. So how would you say feedback has, I want to say hinder, but played a role into your training?
Definitely business wise, it's important because you do want to listen to your clients and your customers and the things that make you money, but you also want things to be fruitful, be productive, and you want to bear fruit. So I started training in 2012, 13. So it was kind of before the big hype of social media basketball training. You would see like certain clips and things like that, but now one of my biggest, I guess, requests is mixtapes. Like, hey, coach, can I come bring my videographer for our next workout? Can my cousin come and record me while we're doing this? And a lot of times in the beginning, I would just be like, no, like that shit is mad dumb. It's not gonna do nothing for you. And then I started to see clips from Baller's Life and Overtime, and then you see in a 20-second clip, a kid that might do something fire. Then you go to their page, they got all kinds of likes and followers. And they just kind of turn out to be a regular D2, D3 basketball player, which is great. But, you know, what is drawing you to that page is the feedback.
Right.
So now, to me, it's super important to listen to kids, their parents, because you're also not now the only trainer. And when I started, I know that I can see a kid 4 or 5 days a week, and then we can have a plan, we can grow because I'm the only trainer. Right. Then when those kids get older and they start to obviously branch out, but they get better, they start to surpass you as a trainer, and then they go to pro trainers, Jerry Powell and things of that nature, which is good. You always want to be that stepping stone. So for me, it's important to listen because I want to give you what you need right now in this moment so that you feel safe enough, you feel like this is good, this is productive, not only for you to come back, but for you to bring a friend next time, for you to tell somebody, for you to post it. So I don't do a lot of posting myself. I like to repost when people post me training and things like that. So it's something I need to work on too. But, man, when it comes to business, that's major. And then sometimes I have to, you know, even sacrifice, bring my son to the gym and things like that, because I understand how important it is for me to, be in this facility for 2 or 3 hours. Even if it's just my son just running around doing whatever you want, but I don't get to spend that quality, intimate time. I understand the sacrifice. I understand the purpose. So for me, feedback is probably.
Okay, get out the fucking microphone. Laughing like that on the microphone.
Feedback is super important when it comes to business, because even though like I have faith in the things that I do and how I am and who I am and my blah blah blah, but a lot of times people are just like, hey, I come to you because you're super patient with my child, and I hope that they would say something like, because you're a good trainer. And then I had to kind of be like, dang, all right, maybe that's a part of it. So I still have faith in my capabilities and things of that nature. But a lot of times it's important to know, like, okay, I can cater to this 5-year-old to 8-year-old community, and it's going to be productive. It's going to be fruitful. So, feedback is super important in business.
Well, I think with you too, and I think when people, I'm not saying all people look at it the same, but I think not everybody that comes to you and people that you train, kids you train, do the parents understand the commitment that you're putting behind your training. So I think it's a super compliment when you have somebody tell you certain things like you're patient, because as a parent, you're a parent, sometimes your kids can get on your nerves because they don't stop. They're always moving. They're always doing something. Yeah. So that could be a thing where it's not even against what you're training and what you're doing. It's more so like, man, he's a handful, and you're so patient with how you do it. So in a way, in my opinion, I don't think it's a shot at your training or even them not paying attention to your training. It's just the first thing they see because they don't train, so it's the first thing that they know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important. And I think that they telling you the realest, honestly.
Yeah,
that's
kind of what you want.
Right.
And then sometimes it comes back even better, especially if it's young kids. It's only $30 an hour. So if you're on a certain skill level and I only got to do right-handed layups and form shots and couple dribble drills, I'm not charging you my normal price. But sometimes you get tipped that way. So sometimes I might get a $50 bill, like, hey, appreciate you working with my kids for 45 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's
to me, that's important. So, feedback is important. You want to cater to your clients on a certain level.
Right.
To me,
and I
like
think even with like this podcast, right? Like you guys are part of the process, so you guys know you put out a podcast, you put out content, and you want to hear what people like, what people don't. You have a vision. I know when I first started the podcast, I had a vision on what I set out to do. Now you hear things, and that's where when I say faith, is kind of like where you want it to go and you're pushing for it to go. So you listen to feedback, and sometimes it could sway you to do certain things. God, thanks, to the God above, has helped us with different things. But certain people take feedback and they go left with it, and then it doesn't turn out for them. I know for us, it's turned out great, which thank God. But I know even in life, I've had things where I'm like you said, and like you brought up, the whole relationship stuff. You could be with somebody in a relationship, and you could really like them, but the feedback you get from your friends or your family is, we don't like them. There's something, I don't know. They don't know the person, but you do. And because of their feedback, you now have a sense of a pushback. Yeah, like uncertainty, pushback. And I think that a lot of this world, it's good in the sense of business for you guys.
Yeah, for business, it's great.
It's great.
For personal,
you know what I'm saying? But for personal, a lot of people take away from their faith and go with the feedback. And I think people have to get to a certain spot of getting back to the feedback. You know what I'm saying? Not the feedback. Get back to their faith and where they really want to go with their life. Obviously people are always going to listen. There's always going to be somebody that may be in your ear that really wants to help you, and we may do things that aren't beneficial because we're immature. But then there might be people in your ear that are there just for the wrong reasons. And I think just learning from that and getting to that will help you get to truly where you want to get to. That feedback stuff is only good for so long until it becomes poisonous. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, and who it come from.
Especially if you're solely relying on it.
Right.
I feel like then you're not really also doing whatever it is that you're doing, whether it's business or whatever it might be. You're not really doing what might serve you and what you want. You know what I'm saying? You lose sight of that.
Yeah, for females, it's easier. And the only reason why I say that, because I've been in relationships at every level of, like, wow, you actually did that so you could stay with me. You know, physical fights with parents. Not me, but like I watch girls fight their parents because of like why is this man here? Why is this boy here? Like
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. Um, lose friends. And even if it's blindly, but females, when it comes to feedback in their relationship, they stand. To me, most females 10 toes down. Like, nah, this my man, and even though he slipped up a little bit, I don't care if my friends don't like him or y'all gonna talk crazy every time I say something bad, but the next day I'm with him.
That's still a bad thing. I feel like that also isolates you. Cause then because of what the feedback is after a
Depends
while.
what kind of friends you have.
I mean,
If you really have a good friend that cares
I
about
don't
you,
think I
they
don't
gonna
think it's
stick
the
with you.
friends. I think it's internally. Like for me, for an example, I had a man that like I felt like I was on and off when he was doing me dirt, whatever the case, and this was on and off for like 3 years. After a while, I stopped bringing it to my friends' attention, and not because I felt like they would judge me, but because why am I gonna keep bringing it to my friends' attention, giving them the drama and deal? And I know my dumb ass gonna stay anyways. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So then I got embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? So now
So,
I'm isolating myself,
That's why I feel
and
like
they're still
males,
reaching out.
we don't really deal with that because
Right.
I don't tell my friends anything negative that my fiance does. And it could be very minor and it's not nothing crazy. The only thing that I would ever share is if the things that we like gotta go out and reach out and get help because then I want them to understand what I'm going through as well. But it could be something she could say something bad or I don't know, whatever. It could be something minor, but I only speak highly of my fiance to my friend. So when they see her, they have that same respect. I don't want them to ever look at her and be like, "Oh, now you did this to my man. Fuck out of here," or like, "Move. Why you still fuck with her?" You know that kind of stuff. So, but I feel like females are a little more transparent when it comes to that because it's a little more relatable. Where
I don't know. I feel
And-
like I had a lot of exes that would literally they would just tell their friends like this is what's going on.
Well, that's the thing, and that's where I have a problem. Not a problem, but that's an issue I don't like. I don't like females that vent everything to the friends. Don't get
Yes.
me wrong. It's okay to vent. I always told my exes, have one friend that you vent to, that you
Right.
talk to, that's not going to be judgmental and is able to handle, absorb. And also, if you ain't got a therapist, just able to absorb it and let it go. But I've
Right.
had people in my past talk to their moms, talk to their friends.
Get
and now
everybody
they're
involved.
telling you every single bad thing that's happening. But they ain't talking about all the good stuff. And because, let's be honest, the bad usually outweighs the good in a lot of circumstances, especially if it becomes toxic. So if it becomes toxic, now you're telling everybody everything, and now they're looking at you. And yes, like you said, you may quote unquote look dumb, but forget about, no disrespect, but forget about y'all for a second. We now step into this realm where y'all look at us as a piece of shit, and you only know, truthfully,
The
you only
surface
know
level.
surface level and one story. Because I could have a completely different story. You could be telling your friends, this guy is this guy is that. Meanwhile, you doing all this fuck shit on the side. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So there's obviously three sides to the story: mine, yours, and the truth. And at the end of the day, people vent to too many people. And again, just
That's the
relying on
feedback.
that, exactly,
That feedback.
relying on that feedback. And if you're telling somebody super close, like a mom or a dad or an auntie or something, you're gonna respect it because that's your family.
Now you're
And
looking at it different.
right? And it's like, even if your man tries to make the right steps, your auntie's still telling you, nah, he gonna be
No.
a piece of shit. If you're not strong minded enough, you're not gonna be
It's
able to get
true.
through it. You're not
So
gonna
I
be
don't
able to
get
get through
family
it.
involved. He's absolutely right. I don't get family involved in nothing no more because at the end of the day, it's my life and it's my choice. If I can't guide myself, that's on me.
right.
You know, to a degree. So I try to keep myself from taking feedback when it comes to relationship shit because at the end of the day, you don't know. Listen, your friend could be your best fucking friend for years and you have no idea what their intentions might be, knowing what they know. You know what I'm saying? You can go to your friend and tell them some shit, the relationship shit, whole time they trying to break y'all up. That could have
That's
been your best
crazy.
friend for years and you have no idea. And I'm not saying that like my friends will ever do that, but I'm saying I just don't put nothing past nobody because sometimes just because that friend or family member or whatever didn't have a successful relationship, but they're going through shit that just innately they're like, nah, they want you miserable right with them. Maybe not intentionally, but they want you to feel how they feeling too, so that they you know what I'm saying, y'all could talk about it, whatever the case might be. They may not mean to do that,
Right.
but that's what they doing.
Something in common.
Type shit.
So how
Yeah.
do we get back to it though? That's a big question. I feel like people ask, and people go to therapy, and people do all these things. But how do we get back to Forget about the feedback. Like people in the 90s, like I'm not saying people in the 90s or the 80s didn't have
Maybe I wasn't there.
people that no, but I know, but I'm saying like in general, social media, right? So people that have
99.
social media, their feedback was their people around them. But
Yeah.
how do we get away from that feedback of the world and get back to our own bubble, like our own area of life, and relearn stuff? Like, do y'all have like a feeling of how y'all get back there? Have y'all personally did things to reel yourself back in from holy shit, this world's on fire, let me reel myself back in? If so, tell
Absolutely.
me.
For me at least, separating social media and those things from real life. A lot of your favorite celebrities, you know, like the whole couple goals and things like that. And this is in regards to relationship, but this also applies to any relationship in your life. You know, you see bestie goals, fucking relationship goals and things like that. A lot of your favorite people, that's relationship goals, and they dogging each other out. They doing wild shit. You relying on social media to be your goal. My only goal is to be the best that I can, at least for myself, and live the life that I want to live. So learning to learning what I want for myself was what kind of, I guess, grounded me in that sense. Like, okay, like these are the things that I want for me. And if what social media says doesn't align to that, then it's just not for me. That's just what it is.
Okay.
What do you mean by that in the sense of,
It doesn't align for me.
no, I just mean like the exact, like what do you do? Like uninstall Instagram? Like what do you
Nah,
do?
I wouldn't say I uninstall Instagram. I just like to remind myself here and there that like social media is fake. Are we all? I even I myself no longer post negative things because I understand that like some people out there, they watch and they looking for that. They want to see it.
Right.
I'm not gonna put out my negativity. I'm a firm believer that the energy you put out into the world, you gonna receive right back. So I'm not gonna be posting negative shit and all this shit. It's nobody's business. It's my business.
Right.
So it's like I said, separating social media and the fake world that that social media likes to portray to everybody from what's actually real. Like at the end of the day, social media ends at a point. You know what I'm saying? Social media ends
Sure.
at a point in your day. You're not on social media all day long, 24/7, no breaks. At a point, it ends. It comes to an end. So you need to learn to live the times that you're not on social media. Live your actual life in the manner that you would actually want, because you have to live that life in real life.
Right. It's kind of just like detaching. I feel
Yeah.
you. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's just more about like the foundation, especially when you have a relationship and things that you could do that are therapeutic, but that you enjoy, that are realistic. So it could just be reading, writing, at a certain time, no phone. It could be 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever. We both put our phones on the nightstand and we interact with each other, whatever it is. But I know personally for myself, I'm not a big poster on social media anyway. I'm more, I guess I am, because I like Twitter a lot, because it's like fake information based, and it's a lot
It's a
of
joking place. It's fun.
yeah, I was gonna say it's a lot of like whatever culture you're in, that you are in. There's a lot of jokes and different things that you can identify, especially with Black culture. So,
Right.
But for me, it's definitely just realizing, you know, how or I guess like how I got to where I am today, because I didn't necessarily always grow up with a transparent social media. AIM and MySpace was more like on the surface, like what you see top 8 and away messages. That's kind of what you
I
got.
really grew up with like Instagram and shit like
Yeah.
that. That
Right.
shit shaped me.
So it wasn't necessarily like that. I guess like when you first started doing, I guess, bad or good things, or things that impacted your life outside of AIM or MySpace or Facebook. Even at a certain time when I used to do stuff on Twitter, people used to tell my parents and
Yeah.
things like that. So I really had to just separate and understand that obviously it's not real life, but I had to have things that I did no matter what. Go for walks, smoke, read, write, whatever it is. You just got to kind of have a foundation of things that are more realistic than actual Twitter, Instagram,
Mhm.
and all the other social media things that people have nowadays, because you can monetize all of those things. So now it's even harder to get off of it. And if you're at a certain level, the more you're on it, the more money you make. So now it's even harder to, I guess, detach, but more importantly, kind of like live your truth through things that you actually go through in real life versus social media.
Yeah, and I think that also, just to piggyback off it, you kind of got to be honest. So like, doing a podcast for us, we can't really technically, we could take a break and not delete, but not be on social media for a while. But how do we get out the content? How do we put stuff out? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
it's a business now. So now how do we do this?
Well,
So-
it's good though, because we gotta one thing about like being realistic within the podcast is to have those topics that don't really matter personally, but also touch on topics that we've dropped in the past, nursing and mental health and
Right.
domestic violence and stuff. That also keeps us connected, keeps us grounded, and then as a viewer, you get to see, I guess, some of the character, because when you doing funny topics and I guess like more worldly topics, a lot of times you can say whatever and it don't really matter.
Right.
But if you're talking about domestic violence and somebody say something funny, you might look at them differently now. Like,
Exactly.
now
that's what you
now
really
you questioning this shit. Like,
right. So I think for us too, to have those serious topics kind of keeps us grounded as
sure.
well, and realize the importance of the things that we say and the things that we put out there. So
For sure. And I also think that, like you said, there's a human element to it, and you're yourself, and you trying to get through things, you trying to do things. So I think like stuff like that, like feedback, and it could take you to a certain place. For Taylor, she grew up in a Instagram world, and she grew up in this world, and we got kids growing up in this world where they think because they put out a couple basketball videos, they nice.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Truthfully, they think they nice,
Mhm.
and then they go meet a kid, right? And
That's
they
why I
get
say
cooked.
it's a different
Right.
game
You
these
know what
days.
I'm saying? It's different because you had all these likes, but now you getting cooked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. And even just a person, whether it be with social media or just with people and the feedback, you may have a peak, but you eventually go through the lows, just like everything in life. And I feel like you have to walk alone sometimes in your faith. And not everybody has that faith. Some people don't truly have faith in what they believe in. If, God forbid, Taylor, I'm not saying you think like this, but God forbid Taylor got hit by something and she was ugly tomorrow
Right.
and she had no personality and she had no faith. Now, what is she giving to this world besides what she gave with beauty? That's a big thing. It may sound
That
unrealistic.
sounds crazy. I'm
It
not gonna lie.
no,
Like,
it
somebody
does.
like, God damn, you got shit on you ugly.
Nah.
You got face. You ain't
It's-
got.
What
It
you mean
sounds-
hit by something though?
Nah, I just mean like God forbid get into a
God
bad
forbid
car
something
accident
happened.
and her
Yeah,
face
type
all
shit. My
fucked
shit
up.
fucked up, and
it's
I
all-
had nothing to
My
show
point
for it
is
for
that
life.
just because you're beautiful, eventually, even if you're beautiful at 80, like it's got to be more
Be
to
for
you.
real for a minute.
Yeah, he was like, "What you care about?"
I mean, I get it because it's like, damn, you trying to say like they ain't
It's
got.
true,
But
though.
it's true though. If all you
true.
have to offer this world is a beautiful
man.
face,
You don't
and
got
then
much
something
in
happens,
it.
that's it.
And but also
Like, I
in
hate
your
to say it.
mind, like your mind has to go certain places and be able to do certain things alone. A lot of people need people. A lot of people need feedback on an everyday basis. They need it every day. I need to know I'm pretty. I need to know that I'm doing something productive. I need to know it instead of going through what I call, and if you read the Bible, the valley. The valley is you just by yourself. You walking with nobody, and if you believe in God, you walking with God, and that's it. But you're in that shit in a lonely ass place in your
Mhm.
life by yourself. It don't matter what's going on in the world, don't matter what you put on social media,
Right.
because deep down inside you're alone. And how you gonna go through that? How you gonna build through that? And that's where I believe like people have to really go back and really gain faith, whether it be through religion, whether it be through people that they love. They have to regain that because this feedback world eventually is gonna chew you up. You're gonna have your bad moment. You like LeBron James yesterday tweeted on the Palestinian stuff, and he wrote something wrong, and all he did today was trend, and people were ripping him apart.
Mhm. It's that
Everybody's
simple.
loved, hate LeBron his whole career, but mostly loved him, especially towards the end. One bad tweet, you get all this shitbag feedback. So now,
Yeah.
what do you think he's gonna have to do for the next week when he goes into these podiums? They're gonna ask him about it. That's my thing. If LeBron has a strong core, strong head, which he seems like he does, he'll be able to deal with it. But if you have somebody random that's going through mental health issues and all things like that, their faith and they're able to, it's not gonna hold. And that's why I think that there's suicides and stuff like that happen because they so worried about what other people think. And you see kids get bullied in school that are young, and they get this feedback from kids, oh, you're ugly, or you're fat, or you're short, or you're this, and they go home and kill themselves at the age of 10, 11, 12. That's so serious.
Mhm.
But
Right.
it's something that's so common nowadays that you hear about it on the news. You hear a school shooting on the news,
You don't
and
even
it's
pay it no
normal.
mind. It's just
normal,
like regular
and it's sad.
type
Like
shit.
to me, that stuff is so sad. But I also have a question of what age group do you feel like suffers the most nowadays with the feedback industry?
The youth. I think anybody between the ages of, because these kids these days be like 6 and be on TikTok and shit. I think between the age groups specifically, and this is coming from somebody that grew up in a time where it was just coming out. Like Instagram just came out when I was like 12. You know what I'm saying? So I think between the ages of 12 and like 16, 17, nah, like 17, when you're in puberty, I feel like that's when it's like most impactful because you're scientifically speaking, your frontal lobe hasn't closed. It really don't even close for females to like 23. For males, I think it's like 25, 26. That's why I say you're still going through puberty until those years.
Right.
So your most influential years is when you're 12 to like 17. You're like a little sponge. You're taking in everything. You don't have emotional awareness yet. You have no idea how to even control your emotions. You're going through hormone changes. So a lot of girls just got their period for the first time. A lot of guys, bulls, they fucking for the first time. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on for that time for kids. And then on top of that, they got schoolwork. They got sports. They got all these stresses. They trying to get into college. They got all these stresses. And then now we add social media into the mix. It's kids walking around that are like 15 in high school these days that got Amiri hoodies. They got Balenciaga shoes. And it's like, that's not really like that realistic. And I feel like a lot of kids, it's only realistic for those whose parents can make it
Can do that.
realistic.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So for the kids that don't have that and they're not working or whatever the case might be, they supporting their family, I feel like it's most impactful for them because that shapes how they act. That's why there is so many school shootings. That's why there is so many suicides and things of that sort amongst kids.
I think we got lucky, not to make a joke, but I think we got lucky that back in the day, all shit was Air Force Ones. Shit's only cost $100.
I was gonna say y'all niggas ain't back in the day with y'all apps. Y'all had them
was Nelly.
Adidas track suits.
It was Nelly, and that was it.
Put a Band-Aid on y'all
yeah.
eye. Y'all was fly.
Yeah, but it just not. I guess because it's more accessible, but it's not spoken about. But kids got robbed and killed from Jordans.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, you're not
we
wrong.
can't like overlook
You right.
it
No, you
like
right.
I just
that,
feel like
but-
that's where it started. If anything, social media amplified it. Like I said, when I was in high school, it was kids walking around with Hermes belts. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that was regular. Moschino bags, the MCM bag. Like it was regular to like have those things.
It's crazy.
For those kids that it was regular for though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
yeah, to me, I agree with Tay. Like whenever you're still learning and trying to figure yourself out, influences, motivation, feedback, all of those things help shape kind of who you are gonna be, even if you don't want to, become that person. So that to me, it's just that simple. Like I never, I used to have a pair of 4s, I think, but I never had Jordan. I never bought Jordans a day in my life. I never bought nothing. The most expensive piece of clothing I ever bought was Ed Hardy.
That
That's
bitch
going
old as
back,
hell.
son.
You
That's
is old
going
as hell.
back,
Because by
son.
the time I was growing up, you would get clown. You walk around school with some Ed Hardy. They'd be
Yo,
like, "Oh, you're
Ben.
broke."
Ben Bad Time would know David Handsome had Ed Hardy, a whole closet full of that shit.
Oh
Shout out
my
to David.
God,
shout
y'all
out
was
to
dripped
David
out in the
Handsome.
Ed Hardy.
Ed Hardy?
Which y'all won.
That's one son I seen with Ed Hardy drip down to the shoes.
And it was based off of not like an influence, but I was inspired. Like, cause I never had like before I met Big, my best man Dro, he just wore regular, like he used to wear Nautica and polo, but like full outfits.
Yeah, type
like a
shit.
full
That was
set.
really how it was back then.
And I used to be like, son, that's like how do you like? I'm wearing a white tee and a black tee with a
type
fit, like.
shit, and it dripped
then-
down.
Then I got another. Then when I met Big, it was like he wearing Creative Rex, he wearing Gucci, he wearing Prada,
Rex. Yeah,
stuff
that's
like
crazy.
that. And I never
shit.
seen nobody dressed like proper.
What was lit for y'all age group? True Religion.
Creative
Y'all used to be
Rex.
lit
Yeah,
with some True
shit like
Religion.
that.
You ain't had no
That's
true.
crazy.
True
And that's like
Religion.
$110 for some jeans.
ACGs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like I didn't go through that phase, so I was like a slipper. Like
You was the Adidas slippers.
Nah, I used to wear Jordan slippers and Jordan
So
shorts.
he's
I'm
always
crying.
been. I feel like this
Just
same.
like
so,
dumbed down. Yeah, like I
which is
don't really
good.
nothing got.
He got that on pretty much right now. The only difference is he got Crocs on.
Yeah, like
He stand up, the same thing.
my most expensive, like I guess like piece of clothing is definitely like a Steelers jacket or some shit, a Troy
Is that one?
Polamalu
I'm like,
jersey,
is it?
like some shit like that.
Yeah.
Like I don't. So my biggest influence when it came to stuff like that was like the streets. Then I realized like, dang, I done wasted so many years trying to bully people and gain respect the wrong way. Even though it worked and it worked out in my favor, thank God. But now I wish I would have kind of did things differently when it came to that. But my influences was never like things that I couldn't obtain and blah blah blah, because I would just steal it or I would rob you. So I never thought about like well, I'm about to sell some drugs so I can do this, or I'm about to do X, Y. It was just like, nah, if you got something that I like and I know my parents not gonna buy it, I'm gonna just take it from you. So
You said your parents gonna get it.
yeah, so it
This
was
was
like
supposed to be serious.
nah. So
Well, that's
I'm just
serious,
saying like
trust me.
He that's
You did it,
serious.
Yeah.
my influences were a little different, but I know people that still to this day just they got a fucking 99 Camry, but they clothes cost more than they car.
Yeah,
I
type
could never
shit.
be that person.
That's like
So,
priorities. That's crazy you say that because
Right.
that's very true. I feel like,
Right.
especially my generation, that's so. Yo, it's all about these motherfuckers be having these pieces like chains and all these things.
But live with
Don't
their
have
mama.
no crib, no car, no credit, nothing.
Right.
Nothing to show for nothing. And we like 24, 25.
yeah,
Yeah,
nah,
they can
it's
change.
because you
But
still
they got
learning.
that chain though. They still got that chain.
No, because and I don't like fault people or talk crazy about people like that because you still learning. And
Right.
and if
yeah,
you don't,
to, you know,
and
to a
if
degree.
nobody shows you the ropes, then there's no kind of like deadline on when you need to stop learning or change that. I guess like change like don't live off that feedback, because a lot of times when you're that young, you don't have faith into
Right.
nothing but the things that you see. Like, oh, I know if I get this jersey, if I get these sneakers, that girl gonna talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
And I think an aspect of kids too, whether it be nowadays or back then, I think that didn't change, is bullying. I think people could get bullied, and that's a part of feedback. Like you're getting
Mhm.
bullied for
For
being.
sure.
You're getting
That's
for
the
me.
number one feedback.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for
I
me,
was
I got
bullied when
bullied
I
for
was
being
young, so-
short. Right, I was short.
He was a little nigga.
Real little, like 4'11". Who
I'd have
knows?
been
I
way
was short,
crying.
and
I'd
as
have been
soon as I
crying.
got taller, my feedback in my head was, I had this ego like, now I'm about to show all of y'all. Y'all call me short. Y'all said I couldn't do this. Y'all said I can't do that. Now I'm about to do all of this, and I'm about to take the bitch that you like, and I'm about to do all that because you bullied me, and your feedback led
Yeah,
to
it
what
shaped
I
you.
really wanted. Not what I really wanted to do. Your feedback led to what I felt like I had to do.
Right. It's
that's the
inspiring.
thing.
Positive or negative. It's just
Right.
hard to escape it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it does shape you. Like, you know, whatever. But I don't even know when it stops. But I know for me, it took until I went to Africa, like 23, 24, when
I
I
would
really,
say, yeah, I would
when
say
I
I-
really stopped caring. Like, oh wow, like nah, like I'm gonna really wear. I got a lot of Steelers stuff in my closet. Like I will go out to the club like or wherever. Like I don't care. But
Nah,
ain't nobody
word.
else gonna be in the spot or the strip club or nothing with full sports team apparel on. I'm gonna be in
Hell
that bitch just like this.
Yeah.
So
Right. How do y'all feel like, even, I know we don't all watch it, but the news is another network.
I don't
Just
watch
like,
that shit at all.
just
Yeah,
like,
I
I know
don't
y'all
either.
don't, but I mean, just in general, people do still, even though it's become more of like a Twitter network where you
Right.
see all these bad things that happen. But how do y'all even feel like just the news? Because if you turn on the news, 99% of it is negative.
I was gonna
First
say,
thing that starts, 5 people dead in Brooklyn.
yeah,
shot,
somebody got
stabbed,
robbed.
da, 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 da. So how do you feel like, and do you feel like the news has such a negative impact on the culture that we live in? Or do you feel like the news is just placed to do that? Like, because obviously the news has to get out the stuff, but you always see the negative first. There's a lot of positive that happens on a daily basis. Like Moo, for instance, did his backpack drive,
right.
right? And he was on the news,
Right.
but you think he was the first story?
No.
No.
Type shit.
He wasn't. It was the crackhead that stabbed 4 people in Brooklyn, and 3 people live, and 1 person died. Like, you know what I'm saying? But
Right.
he's secondary, and it's bullshit in a way, in my opinion, because somebody that does certain things like that should be put first
First
before
type shit.
somebody that robbed somebody for some crack rock in Brooklyn.
I feel like that's the audience fault. Like, you know what I'm saying? They putting up what the people want to see. The people that are watching the news is a certain
Right.
generations that are watching the news nowadays. My generation, we not really even watching the news like that. We seeing the news through TikTok. We seeing the news through Instagram. You know what I'm saying? We seeing it through social media. So, social media in general, in and of itself, just can have such a negative impact. I feel like in the regards to news, I feel like I feel like you shouldn't. I personally, at least, this is why I don't watch it. I don't like to watch it because I feel like it's not much that I can even do to change those circumstances. So why am I gonna listen? Life isn't the greatest all of the time, but my life is. You know what I'm saying? Like the life I'm gonna live is. So
That
the
shit.
world that I live in is gonna be great.
Nah, I like that.
You know, you can't change your surroundings, but you could change the perspective. You could change how you internalize it. So I think that's something you should focus in on as opposed to sitting there watching all this negative shit going on. It ain't nothing you could do about it, baby. Unfortunately, it's just what it is. That's a fact. Little
Right.
man can't do much, but you can make your life great, and that should be your main focus.
Nah, for sure. I agree. With that, like that's just kind of, I guess, how I live unintentionally. But
Mm.
to me, it's always good to indulge and understand your surroundings and things
Yeah.
like that as well. So the news is kind of, I guess, I don't know. It don't really mean nothing to me. But the one thing that you need as a human is information. So it's very informative, and it'll let you know positive and negative. And then sometimes the positive stuff will just be at the bottom where you got to go on news12.com to
Right,
go
right, right.
find it on
Oh,
this
yeah.
link and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, they definitely going to lead with the negative. But I also
Every
want to
time.
know about the sex offender and the murderer that live
Of
around
course,
the
I
corner.
mean,
So,
yeah.
I was gonna say, go on it for what you need to go on it.
Right.
Don't
Right.
be just watching the news all day, every day, and you look at you like any like wars and things like that. You following it all day long. Your whole life is wrapped around these wars. It's not nothing unless you plan on going on the front line. It's not nothing you can really do about it.
right.
You know what I'm saying? You can absolutely pray for them. Absolutely pray for them. But your post probably not doing much. Go donate some money. Go actually do something physically if you're going to try to indulge in trying to help.
Yeah,
the
and that's
circumstance.
why I don't really do much. Now, I'm not big on, I hate when athletes post stuff based off their business and
Mhm.
things to try to make it seem like they care. Because a lot of times they don't care. But
Mhm.
because I got the #1 selling jersey in Israel, I'm about to post some shit.
Yeah, you know what I'm
to make it
saying? Like,
seem
go
like-
actually do something if you feel like
Right.
you need to do something.
I'm not even saying that. I'm saying don't even post nothing.
Mhm.
Don't like
Leave it alone.
help the people around the corner before you try to travel 4,000 miles away to help somebody.
That's
I
kind of
feel-
what happened with LeBron too.
Hell yeah, most people can't even help themselves. You got all these mental health issues, you got all these things going on,
Right.
and now here you are stressing about what's going on in the news. Baby, you got to fight the war that's inside of you first.
Well, that's what it is. A lot of people are worried about what goes on outside of them rather than what
What's
happens
inside of them.
And people don't want to get right before they get with something else, whether it be a person or just a idea or whatever. They don't want to get right first to have that balance, and I think that that's key. Do you guys plan at any point, or do you guys now feel like you guys spread more faith rather than feedback? Like when your feedback is to people, is it more directly what they want to hear, or is it more directly what you feel inside?
Nah, I feel like
I ain't telling you what you want to hear.
yeah, I feel like Tay and I very similar like that. Like I'ma just one thing that's very big with me because it'll hurt me. I don't know how like or the extent, but I have to say what's on my mind, and it's always been, I guess condemned or seem like it's a negative thing. But I don't like holding nothing in. If I holding something in, it's because now I want to physically do something. So I might go write something down, walk away, blah blah blah. But sometimes I say stuff and then people will be like, "That's unnecessary." And then like to them, I understand like maybe I ain't have to say that, but for me, I gotta say that shit. Like that's on my mind, and then I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. Like especially if I love you, I care for you, and it could be something very minor that may not affect you in your life at all. But for me, it's like, don't ever do that. Don't ever say that again. That's just
Same
a
shit.
terrible mind state. Or don't even put that into the universe. Like that's not even something that I want you to think about as a person that fucks with me, because I'm super confident in everything that I do. So to me, I'm just a straight shooter. Like, hey, make sure that every time you get an opportunity, you conquer that shit. Or at this, why you post that? That's terrible. Or why you ain't. Or even the other day in my friend group chat, I seen something about like 5 things you should do with your wife, and I just sent that to the fellas, and only one responded, but I did my job.
Yeah,
To make sure,
say it don't matter. They
you know,
respond. You do
stuff
what you
like
gotta
that.
do.
So I'm a straight shooter. Like make sure that we all on the same accord. So it's negative, positive, it's transparent, whatever it is. But you know that it's very genuine when it comes from me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, me at least in the case of my friends, we're all adults, so I'm not necessarily here in the game to sit here and pick at little things of my friends. I feel like it's a time in a place for me to address certain things. You know what I'm saying? If I know my friend did something wild or wrong, if I could look at them and I could tell, because females, they're a little more emotional based. You know what I'm saying? So you could tell if they like regret something, whatever the case may be. I'm not gonna tell you or you're vented to him. I'm not gonna tell you in that moment necessarily always that, yo, you fucked up. That I might tell you in a certain way, but I'm not gonna rip you up and down for it just to, you know what I'm saying? Especially if you didn't ask for my opinion on something, I'm not giving it. Because I've seen too many times, especially because females don't always know how to separate emotion from fact. I ain't eating y'all up. Disclaimer: it's a lot more to y'all than not that don't know how to separate emotion from fact, and ain't nothing wrong with that. But being that that's the case, I'm not always gonna snip at certain things or give them unsolicited advice because they might take it the wrong way, whatever the case might be. But when I know that the time is right and I'm close enough with them, then I'm gonna be like, yo, listen, let me talk to you for a second like this. Like, come on, like, you could do a little better with this, and this, but I'm not gonna degrade you for it. It's a time and a place for those types of things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I just try to be mindful of when, where, and what I'm telling them. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear at all, by any means. I'm not the friend for that. They know that. They all know that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just gonna be like, you being a dumbass. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. I'm talking to you as a friend. I'm talking to you adult to adult. Friend aside, you being a dumbass. I'm telling you this because I care. If I didn't, I wouldn't say nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I would say this too, and I heard this. My therapist told me this. It's so simple, and it sounds so simple, but it's the truth. Is strictly, people are not always on your level of growth, and you got to take that into consideration. So where you may have healed and you may have grown, people aren't always on that wavelength. So you may want to do things like, I had a book that I want to send somebody that had a title that meant nothing but love and nothing but care. But if I send it to that person right now, they may not be on that level of growth to understand what that title of that book meant and what I meant to send them the book for. So I think our biggest thing is we got to understand where people are at in life. We obviously don't know everything. We can't, but we got to do our best to do it. And with that being said, I appreciate y'all for being here again. My favorite two co-hosts in the world. That's another episode of Culture Shock. Everybody go out there and live by faith and love. And that's it. And shock the culture.
Yes, sir. Steelers, first place, motherfucker.